Hey fellas, thanks for stopping in Archer's Garage today. And in this episode, which will probably be like a series, this is a Frontier, not this machine. I'll roll some B-roll here. Frontier. It's an MTD. That's what it looks like it was made by, and I think it's some kind of subsidiary of John Deere. Anyway, got a Briggs 6 something horsepower. I think this was a 7.5. The other one, same kind of problem. Hydrolock, water infiltration, water damage, and this machine. Look, don't let this happen to you guys. Right, this green machine's got some things wrong with it. It's got the front auger transmission, which is really called a differential. That's gonna gets rebuilt, and I go through that as well. That'll be another video. But in this video, I'm gonna show you guys it's locked up, won't move. Essentially, most people would think of it as being seized. But it's hydrolocked. So let's get into this and dig it apart, get it all apart and dig into it and try to see if we can save this engine. But again, don't let this happen to you. Now, in some of my live streams, I actually talk about why this happens and, what you can do about it. So you might want to check out one of those, and let's just get started on it and get this thing back to, winning shape, because it could have been a total loss, and it was a total loss, and somebody threw it out, and it's a punishment by neglect. Things happen, things break, and they can be repaired, and I think that's what started the issue. But then just not taking care of a machine, especially a newer machine and one of these engines, and not being aware of certain scenarios will cause a complete catastrophic failure, and you're going to take a $1,500 machine and throw it in the trash. Let's get started. All right, the next day, we're going to move these in a little bit and give them a rinse. So this is the one that we know. She's beautiful. There's like no hours on it, but something with these motors, they just don't survive. But we have all the parts because these are Snowblower pieces. All right, once again, new year, out in the yard in January on a beautiful, balmy day, actually. And we're back with this machine, still working, still going good. So I told you guys I'd give you guys, the update and reports. So the Teander washer, it's the Mr. Leance, or the pressure lance from Teander. So I'm going to keep you guys posted on it. Let's get to work. All right, she's clean. Still some junk laying on it, but that's all right. Maybe I'll just give it a quick hit because I still see this junk coming down. And this one is pretty cool. If it wasn't for the blown motor, it's actually kind of like bougie. Let me turn a little light on. Stick in there. Look at it, it's mint in there. Your standard fare, right? Needs its service. It looks like, is this a piece of a belt or something? It must have ran long enough to shear a belt and peel it off like that. I wonder what it is. We'll find out. It's the bougie machine. And as customary, we're going to start off with a super clean rinse, but I put some in here with some other detergent. So I think that'll be good. So this is the gas that I'm pulling out of the bougie green snowblower. In fact, there's more in there. So this thing, I don't know, what can I say? We'll go in deeper when I get a chance, but I wanted to pull the gas out of it. It's clean, but there's water on the tip of the plug. If I move it in close, slowly. See the water droplet? And so I took the plug out. Let me show you. I got everything blown apart. I want to clean up some stuff. But we can see I just moved it over a little bit. And I can move it by hand as I put my wrench on it. See the water's coming out? We're going to spin that out. We're going to puke it out in a little bit. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to set up the camera so we can see it. I just put my wrench on it, but it moves right away. So it's got enough water in there to hydrolock. And I think we can save this motor. So I want to stop. We're going to clean this stuff up in a little bit. We'll spin this over. I'll set up the other camera. All right, I've opened up this carburetor. It's not a Nicky. It's a standard Briggs. I love it. We're going to get that water out. So that's the water. I'm going to clean the carburetor up, right? I'm not going to show that, right? Because we have many carburetors. And then tomorrow we should be able to go forward. It's just starting to oxidize, so we caught it in time. All right, I got everything else I needed to get done on this baby. All right, so give me a few minutes, and I'm going to set the camera up. Probably just leave it the way it is. She's going to puke, so I'm going to get some rags and clear the table. We're going to need to spin this thing. So it's turning, and it's going to puke water, and we're going to talk about this again, about why this is happening. So I'll put the starter motor back on. I'm just going to lubricate it. Just with oil, no greases or anything. I showed this before. And that way I can plug it in, clear off the table, get the rags out. I want to also, I'm going to tilt this thing up a little bit. We're going to drain the oil just a little bit. All right, just to get out whatever water is in there, so we're not pulling that around as well. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes, all right? All right. So I took out my air vac, and I sucked out this much water out of the head, right, inside the combustion chamber. Fortunately, it's not really rusty, but that's a lot. I checked the oil. I dribbled out the oil. I didn't see any water come out. Usually it would come out first. Doesn't mean there isn't some in there, but I didn't see any. What I want to do now is I'm just going to spray a little bit of lube in here into the. Oh, this hose is not working right. She's like coming out everywhere but the hose. Oh, no wonder why that cap is shot. All right, good. That's good. She's spinning good. Now, I'm just going to grab the plug and check for spark, but I'm going to go over the ignition anyway. And then I'm going to put some of my fluid in here. This is the tranny fluid mix, because it's getting late and it's going to be sitting overnight. I'm going to go do the carburetor. And just kind of let that sit, do its thing, and then tomorrow we'll rinse it again. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, I took this cap off. I'm going to check the valves. There's water in there. Not much, but we're going to... Ugh, see the gook? We'll clean that out, blow it out, wipe it out, turn this thing over, check the valves, get all this gook. Ooh, what's that? Uh-oh. What was... Oh, my. That's not... That shouldn't be like that. Stuck valve, maybe? Yeah. All right. We got to get in there and check it out. All right, I'm not hopeful here, but let's just give it a whack. Yeah, she's... Oh, it popped. Oh, you see that? Scared me. Okay, I'm going to run some Drews down it, some kind of penetrant oil. And... Well, we can't see. That's the exhaust, right? It may have damaged the valves. So I'm going to put... Well, I already put stuff in there. And then I put the plug in at one point, and that it kind of came out of here. That's one of the reasons why I kind of knew. And these were loose too. The nuts were loose. So I'm going to put this back together, run some lubricant in it, and we'll adjust it, and then I'll do a compression test and see where we are. I got so much Loctite on this little jam nut in there. I got to defeat it. That should do it. Sorry for the camera work. All right, leave it sit for a minute, and then we'll move it. I think you might be able to see some of that. Right? It's like brown mew. So we're gonna rinse it. We're gonna rinse this engine out with some used oil. It's getting late, so I just want to check this out. I got these set up. All right, we should be ready to go. I spun them over once. Let's just see what it does. Okay. We got some compression. I'll make sure nothing's gonna break. All right, so far it feels like it's okay. All right, let's see. You should be able to see something. I don't want you to have too much glare. Oh, whoa. Oh, that's water. Of course, I got hit. That's nasty. All right, we got to drain the oil out. I just managed to avoid it. All right, let me pull the plug on the oil, and yeah, look at the puke everywhere. But we managed to get pressure. We got about 150 pounds, still kind of holding. All right, and I'll check the valves again tomorrow. So that's it for tonight. Get the oil out of here, clean up a little bit. But we got pressure, so it'll work its way in. If we can get the machine, engine running, I think we'll be okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
The next morning.
All right, after letting it sit all night, there was no oil in this thing. There's that little bit that came out when I mentioned to you guys earlier, and then a little bit of oil that splurged out there. And this, it took all night. As I was walking back and forth last night, I would notice every now and then it would come out. It's stuck up in this motor. So what I'm going to do, let me empty out this gook. We're going to spin this real quick. Because you notice, remember, a lot of stuff came out through here. So I'm going to put a rag over it, I'm going to spin it. And then I'll put the plug back in, I'll put it down. We'll put oil in it a little bit. We'll put some used oil, good used oil that I like to keep around. And we're going to put the cover back on. I don't know if I remember if I mentioned this, but the cover goes on, then the carburetor goes on. So if everything works out, at least we'll have that much done. We'll be a little further along. And again, last night I checked these, but like I said, we'll spin it over a little bit, and then I'm going to recheck them because things are sticky and whatever. And let's see what happens, all right? In fact, I might even put a little bit more sauce in here. Spin it first, then put a little more sauce in there, put the plug in, without this, and that'll force that sauce to kind of blow through the system a little bit more under pressure rather than just slopping around. It's going to splooge. You got to run it for a bit. A little bit. I see it coming out up here. See a little bit? All right, we're okay. All right, now I'm going to put the plug in. I got a little bit of the tranny fluid left into the plug hole. We'll just put that plug in just to create that pressure, that compression. Okay. It's coming out. It's blowing towards the camera though. All right, let me cover the camera and I'll do a little bit more, but you could see it's helping. Blowing out here, right? We'll do more in a bit. I'll put a little bit more in, and then I'll put the oil in. Like I said, I'll get this cover on, the carburetor on, then we'll do this one more time. So I'll see you guys in a bit. And I'll clean the plug too a little bit too, because it's not bad actually. This plug is not bad. When she was running, it's not an old motor, but so far so good. I don't know what's going on over here, but the oil does not want to come out of that tube, but I checked it over here and it just poured this brown muck out. So we're not able to get all the oil out. Let me try something different. Super thick. It won't come out the back. It's making a mess. We'll get out what I can, and then we're going to put some gasoline in it, stir it up, and then try again. All right, I put 10 ounces. This is diced tomatoes. That's a 10 ounce can. Into the oil. I sucked out as much as I could. Guys, this stuff here, I just went up to the bottom of this tube here so I could see that I was either pulling air or whatever. It's so slow. This works on a Venturi effect. Hold on, I'm dripping. That little machine works on a Venturi effect. So the air compressor is feeding into a Venturi like a carburetor, and I just about exhausted the air in my air compressor. This is just mud, right? It's mud. So I thought there was no oil in the machine. No, it's not coming out of that back tube. So all I did was add more and then stir it up, which isn't terrible. You go dump this. The 10 ounces of gas is a decent choice considering what I have laying around. A better choice would be alcohol or maybe lacathin, and we could maybe I'll put some lacathin in. We'll see. Some of you guys might say, why not diesel or Caro? You could. It's a little safer. It's not going to work as well. First of all, gasoline is an excellent solvent. Diesel isn't really. No, it's good for like greases and stuff, but it's a better solvent. It's a thinner solvent. diesel is still thick, right? So you're not really completely reducing the viscosity. The problem getting this stuff out is viscosity. It's so damn thick. Our gasoline has about 10% alcohol. So it's very thin. Both of them are great solvents, and the alcohol is going to help because there's water in here. So this is mayo. This is almost the consistency of mayo. Mayo is a colloid. So it's basically water and oil, a bit of milk, and whatever flavorings they put in there. But what makes the oil stay in the suspension with the water is a colloid, is the egg. The egg and the protein and the enzymes. What we want to do is grab that water from wherever it is in the oil and the engine and pull it out. That's what alcohol will give us. The gasoline being a really good solvent, both of them being very thin, and even lacquer thinner would be even better because lacquer thinner, cheap lacquer thinner, is a combination of a bit of toluene, which is a great solvent, a bit of alcohol, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? So that would be really good. So money-wise and effectiveness-wise, she's still dripping. It's all up in here. We may have to take it out later and rinse it off. That's how bad it is. We'll see. We still got to get the tires off. Let me go dump this, spin it over a little bit more, took a little bit of a break. That's kind of what I'm doing. Give the gasoline a chance to sort of get stirred around and then sit and eat into everything. Eat whatever's on the bottom, loosen stuff up, and maybe I'll do it twice. I'll see you guys in a bit. Let's give it a spin again. I put more fuel in there. Right, mix it around. This came out much easier, way more easy. And it's way more liquidy, way more. So I still don't know what's going on with that. We got to pull that tube out. I'll pull that out next when we go to drain this. I'm going to let that sit a little bit longer. Finish taking my break, get rid of this, spin it around. Just kind of do that. Let it do its thing. We're getting the junk out for sure. So you guys see that in there? That port is not drilled. If it's drilled at all, it's a very small hole. It was not finished. So that's why that tube doesn't work. So what we need to do is put a plug in that. We're going to take this plug out, put it in there, and then we got to we're going to have to put the drain tube over here, right? That's all there is to it. Right now, I'm at least starting to get some of the brown. There's a bit of junk at the bottom. I stirred it up a little bit, but like a water or whatever. So I'm starting to get the brown out. This is what we just captured at the bottom, what was spilling all over the place. Let me get rid of this stuff, clean up a little bit more. We'll get some used oil in. I got to put the cap on that. All right, put a little lubricant up there, put the cap on it. We'll rig up the fuel, and we'll get this thing hot, and then we'll dump the oil. All right, I got some two-stroke in here, just in that tube. Yeah, it's full. And we'll fill it again. Let's prime it. Let's see what it's going to smoke. So, oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me close this door a little bit. Okay. There's still fuel in there. Give it a little bit of choke. Alright, it ran out of fuel. I've been trying to fill it and keep it going. So I have it on high, and what we're going to do is we're going to check RPM. Let's restart it. I'll take the choke off, see if it likes that. So this is high. Okay. Okay, so the size that I'm seeing is 0.031, 0.031. This is an 0.32 and it doesn't fit, so I'm going to bring it up to this, but I might want to go a little bit more to 0.33 because it's better that it's a little fat. It is too lean right now. Of course, under load, right, it's going to need more fuel, and we really are not testing it under load, but we can definitely see that she needs more fuel. And it's just partially because it's getting older, or maybe because it got a little bit of damage. It's not as efficient as it was. And the EPA makes the manufacturers run these things real tight. And I'm at sea level with maximum air pressure. That's when you're going to see the biggest lean condition. And I consistently find that most of these machines are too lean. They would work a little bit better at a higher elevation, maybe like upstate New York or some other places, but not here. All right, got the oil dripping out. It's warm, right, because it's been out there for a little bit, but we ran it for a long time. I went to those little bottles that you saw, which I got to refill. So this came off, no problem. We're going to lube all this up, clean up in here. There's a spring hanging down. See that little spring there? Look, it's just hanging down again. The auger worked, but the drive tried to go. It could be the spring, it could be all the oil that we spilled. So this is a simple way to deal with all of this, right? I'm gonna clean up all of this, get this nice and clean, this whole area clean, get this axle cleaned off and lubricated, get all this done, try to wash some stuff down, a little bit of brake cleaner or something. I was gonna use water, but it's not worth it. We'll just use some solvent. It's not bad. This thing ran real good. All right, so here is the mechanism here. Very common. This is your actual kill switch. And it should kind of run about here, but you see, you don't go very far till you reach kill. So what it's doing is it's really pulling off so much of the throttle angle that there's really no idle or anything. So that's your kill right away. And the last one I did had absolutely no idle on it. It didn't have any provision for any idle. So really, this one doesn't either. So far, so good. The transmission's working. Everything is okay. Let me get the rest of the stuff on this machine. Choke on, primed up, turn it to rabbit. All right, so why is this happening? Well, I think the easy answer is it's left out in the rain, and that big exhaust pipe is the entry point. And particularly here, I can only really speak to here on Long Island. Well, the weather changes very quick. It snowed this morning. It's warmer out today. The snow is gone. Let's say you use your snowblower and it's getting towards the end of the year and you forget about it and we get into the rainy season. If it's sitting out uncovered, and then the individual does not then try to put it away by, let's say, running the machine out of gas, maybe putting some stable in there or something like that. You run it out of gas, make sure that's all good to go, and then you cover the machine or put it in a shed or something like that. And you do all of that sort of on the same day. Even if it got water in, you'd be like, oh, something's wrong, and you would catch it early, and then maybe you could deal with it, or maybe you call a mechanic. It left to sit over an entire season, or it gets wet like here, and then it will freeze, right? We're going to come into some absolutely freezing weather. So water gets in there, and then it freezes. It's going to break something. It's going to expand. It's going to sit in there. It gets caught in the muffler. That muffler is huge, and it's sitting up high, and there's a gooseneck that comes down. If the valve is not open, it will sit on the back of the valve up in the muffler, and it will rot over the course of a year. Like I said, if it's the last time the person used it, months it's going to sit like that, and it's going to damage the valve. And then as soon as you go to pull it over, what will happen is all that water will then go right into the engine, and then it'll lock up the engine. If the valve is open and the piston is down, it's going to fill up that whole column. If you notice in the video, actually the valve is stuck. So it might have gotten stuck because the valve happened to be closed and it filled up, behind the valve and all the way up into the muffler. The muffler had a lot of junk in it. And then as soon as somebody went to pull it over, it then dumped into the cylinder and then came up to compression, couldn't compress it. You can't compress water. You can't compress liquids like that. So it jammed and the valve might have shut because it was on a compression stroke and the valve got stuck again. Got more water in it, got left out, right? See where I'm going with this? And it might have been an issue where it looks like this machine got into trouble with its auger. Somebody ran over something. They tried to monkey around with it. That's a separate episode, fellas. I think it's going to be like 2 episodes coming from 2 different angles. So check that one out when it's released, if it's not by the time this is out. And somebody may have said, you know what, maybe it's too expensive. I'll do it next year. Then it got left out, whatever. And then it escalated. This is a nice machine. It didn't really need that much work to become a nice machine again, had it been done and addressed right away. So it escalated. Hopefully this is helpful, and check out one of the other videos or any of my other videos. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment, right? Let's build the channel together because, we YouTubers, we really rely on you guys doing that. It means a lot. It helps push us out a little bit further into the algorithm, get a little bit more reach, and because this takes time and it's expensive to do. I'll see you guys on the next one, and thanks for watching this episode of Archer's Garage.